Welcome to Canine Revolution Radio. Presented by Canine Revolution Dog Training, enhancing the dog and owner relationship through education, balance, and pack instinct.
So today, Canine Revolution Radio, we got our good friend Todd Smith with us today. Todd, thanks for joining us. I just want to start off with a little bit of background about you and kind of what you got going on, because you're a man of all across the board. You got a lot of stuff going on. So what do you got, Todd?
So, right now we own and operate the McElveen Automotive Group, which consists of 4 different locations.
Yeah.
We have True Auto on Moncks Corner. We have True Auto on Highway 78. We have True Auto on Rivers Avenue. Then, of course, here in Somerville, we have McElveen Buick GMC. We currently own our own finance company. We understand that bad things happen to good people, so we try to help people get their credit established.
Yeah.
We also own True Carts in Moncks Corner. Seems like all these neighborhoods are going to golf cart communities.
Oh, yeah.
Owning a golf cart is a lifestyle thing, so we're trying to get big into the golf cart business.
Yeah.
And we've been really blessed. We're located right here in Somerville, and I think in one of the fastest growing counties, not only in the state of South Carolina but in the country. Mm-hmm. So we always tell our people every day is hey, it's being developed right in front of us. Right. We just got to take care of our customers, and our business should get better. Right. And it's been getting better every day. So we're just very thankful that the McElveen family bought this location back in 1978.
Perfect location, too. You can't beat it.
Perfect location, and all the growth is coming this way. So we just try to own and operate and run our business as efficiently as possible, but yet still provide the best customer service we possibly can, because in our business, it's all about reputation. Mm-hmm. It's all about how you take care of people. And, people do shop for price, but they also shop for relationships.
Right.
And so if we take care of our customers, they'll continue to come back to us. And we pride ourselves on most of our advertising is word of mouth.
Yeah.
And then on the side, which is something I love to do, it started off as a hobby. I own and operate Phantom Outdoors, which is a hunting and fishing apparel company. And that is all based on our roots and our give back programs with the military, law enforcement, and of course youth fishing programs. And the reason we did that is because we were at a Wounded Warriors veterans bass fishing tournament, and we were taking all these veterans fishing, and they were so thankful for us, where we were thankful to them on what they provided us, because we know our freedom doesn't come for free. Somebody pays the price. Right. And we just thought that we start a cool clothing company that helps you out there in the outdoors, helps you do your activities better, and just dedicate a portion back to them. And as much as I wish I could do that for a living, that doesn't make a whole lot of money. Yeah. But it sure is a heck of a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you do provide some jobs for people there, too.
We do. We currently have 4 employees now, and we're continuing to grow with that. And we're starting some fishing classes for the youth, for the middle schoolers and the high schoolers. And we've actually had a couple kids come through our program and actually go to college on fishing scholarships.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And those fishing scholarships, are they through you or the state, or how's that?
They're through us. We do a supplemental, but the colleges will actually put money towards the kids. We actually have a gentleman by the name of Patrick Walters who went to high school at Holly Hill Academy. Then he went to Carolina on a partial fishing scholarship. And now he is one of the highest ranked pros on tour, fishing live on ESPN and Fox Sports Network, making a very good living. Yeah. But he won the collegiate world champion 2 years in a row right here at the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Nice. Awesome.
Yep.
I see him on your page all the time.
Yes, sir.
And he sends updates for you guys and talking to your fans and all that. So
yeah, he's definitely a great spokesperson for the product. Yeah. But also just a great role model for these young kids on. Let's not spend so much time on technology. Let's not spend so much time on social media and video games and these chat rooms and these Snapchats. Let's get out there and let's appreciate the outdoors. And if we can make a living at it and be able to get college out of it, why not embrace it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that the world struggles with. We talk about it all the time, but how many times you see people out to dinner, for example, and both people at dinner or everybody at the table is on their phone. you know, or maybe they go outside to a park or something, but they're on their phone instead of enjoying the nature, you know what I'm saying? So that's something that, you know, society is struggling with right now. But we do like to see encouragement to get them away out there, but away from their phone.
Sure.
Enjoy nature again, have a good hobby, you know, do that kind of stuff. And that's a struggle, but getting that message out there is super important too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is. We partnered up last year with, actually in 2019, we partnered up with Cane Bay High School, and they came to me and asked me to help mentor some of their students. And, you know, the first thing I said to them was, I said, look, I'm in the car business. Are you sure you want a car salesman training your students? I said, I don't have hardly any education, any college education myself.
Yeah.
And they said the same thing that you said. They said, basically, we want local business people that can teach these kids how to go out there and behave on a job interview, how to impress business owners, and how to really get after it. And basically, when I went in there, I just tried to train them basic soft skills. You know, give people eye contact when you're communicating. Write somebody a thank you letter if they give you a job interview. Whether you get the job or not, thank them for their time.
Yeah.
You know, ask questions. Don't always just send a resume in. And I know it's tough with COVID because a lot of times they don't want to do a face-to-face interview. But if there's an opportunity to get in front of a business owner or in front of a manager, let them know who you are. Let them know you want a job. Let them know that you're willing to work hard for that job. And I really enjoyed teaching those classes with those kids because you could just really tell when you impacted a few of them, because they would, you know, text me or call me a week later and say, hey, I got that job. And I did exactly like you said. I saw the ad in the paper, or I saw it online, and I went straight in there and asked for the manager and gave him a handshake and gave him eye contact. And he said I was the only one that did that, and they gave me the job. So I really enjoyed doing that because, like you said, so many kids now, including my kids sometimes, they have a problem communicating because everything's by text. You know, I went to call my mother the other day, and she's 70 years old, and she immediately rejected my call and said, hey, what's going on? I'm like, Mom.
Are you serious?
She's even in that world of it's easier to text, let's not communicate. But I still think in business, I know that I'm most impressed when I can have a conversation with a young adult, engage in that conversation where I'm not having to, you know, ask all the questions, get feedback from them, and then get eye contact from them, because I know if they could communicate with me that way, they can communicate with customers that way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's super what my business is really. It's selling of automobiles, selling of service, selling of boats and golf carts, but it's really selling yourself and selling a service. So that's real important to me, is being able to communicate.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So talking on your education background just a little bit, I know you said, you know, you didn't have much college education. You didn't have much education. You kind of learned yourself, you know, and something that I think in recent years this has changed a little bit. And I think this is super important for talking to you as a big business guy, you know, or entrepreneurship. But you hear a lot people saying, or at least whenever I was going through high school, you have to go to college. You need to go to college. You need to do this. You need to do that. When honestly, based on my experience at this point, it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? The thing that college does for most people is puts them in debt. You know what I'm saying? Massive amount of debt. They don't really have that many skill sets to go out into the business world. Talk to us a little bit about your background and what your perspective is on that. You know?
So, you know, I graduated from Goose Creek High School in 1990, and I was faced with a couple situations. You know, for my parents, my father is retired 30-year Navy, Command Master Chief of the Charleston Naval Base. And he said, well, son, you know, there's a couple things. You can join the military. So I went and took the ASVAB. Thought I was going to go to nuke school. And then, or it was to go to college. Or it was to get out and get in the workforce and pay my parents' rent to learn responsibilities. And I chose to go into the workforce. And I'm glad I did, because I felt like a lot of my friends and a lot of their children or family members have went to college, like you said, just because parents, when we were growing up, you know, we thought that a college education gave you a golden ticket or gave you an automatic pass to the front of the line. And I'm sure in some industries it does. But in my experience in the industry that I'm in, a college education really doesn't do any extra for you than somebody that comes in and has that sheer raw energy. We call it that umph. They just have that umph to do better. And I've interviewed several people with college degrees, and sometimes they struggle. They struggle with communication. They struggle because they may be a little bit of an introvert. And then nowadays, with most of the young folks either going to school or going to college on Zoom or online, they don't have the soft skills we talked about as far as the communication.
Yeah.
So, the thing that I always loved about the car business and what made me gravitate was this business was it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter if you're educated, uneducated. It doesn't matter if you've had huge success in business or no success in business. It doesn't matter if you're man or white. It doesn't matter what you are, or what you do. It's all about what you put into the business.
Right.
We've had people come in here and have 6 months experience and get promoted to management. We've had people that have been here 6 years and they might be a better salesman, but not a good manager.
Right.
And then the person who comes in has only got 6 months experience is better at managing people, but not at sales. So I think the business being that fair across the board is what attracted me the most. When I started selling cars in 1992, I was 19 years old. And by the time I was 20, I was a manager. Didn't understand why I was a manager. They just came and saw something in me and said, hey, you're good with people.
Yeah.
You're good with getting the other coworkers to do things that some of the managers struggle with, and you lead by example, and we're going to make you a manager. I didn't even know how to turn on the computer or how to manage much of the processes, but they said that my coworkers spoke highly of me, and that's what they were looking for. So, to speak to the education, I would never deter a young person from getting an education, but I would say it needs to be targeted. If you're going to work and, you want to be a school teacher, get your degree in education.
Yeah.
If your dream is to be an aeronautical engineer at Boeing, then yes, get your education, get your degree. But if you just tell me, I want to go out there and provide for my family, I want to make a good living, get in the workforce and try to work from the bottom up, because guys like me that are owners and business managers, that's what we're looking for. Is we're looking for talent that wants to push to the top. And I'm always recruiting. It doesn't matter if we go to a restaurant, if we go to church, if we go to an engagement. I'm always looking for the next piece of talent out there. And typically most of the people that I've hired, like our last year, our employee of the year at our finance company was somebody that was my server at Carrabba's. And it was her first day there, and we were having a bad meal, we were having bad service, and she was running around trying to help everybody at the table. And I said to my girlfriend, Erica, I said, how long do you think she's been here? And Erica's like, I don't know, but she's definitely handling herself very well.
Yeah.
Well, I called the young lady over to the table, and to find out it was her first day, and I just made sure it was her last day. And this is a second year that she's won Employee of the Year. And typically my Employees of the Year, we don't let them go back to back.
Right.
But she went back to back 2 years in a row, just because of the service we saw she gave that night.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like I said, my theory on education is a lot of times these people think that, hey, I went to college, I graduated with my 4-year degree, and I know that's a heck of an accomplishment. I've never done it. Nobody in my family has successfully ever went to college, including my father, nor my brother, nor my sister.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we didn't, because like you said, we'd probably still be paying back student loans, and there was no way I would have got a degree and worked in that degree. And I think that's what a lot of people do nowadays is they graduate from college. We have salespeople here. We have people that work in our service department that are still paying back 50s and 60s and $70,000s of dollars worth of debt, and they have a degree they're not using. So I would say if you're going to focus on college, make sure you're in a degree-based project that you want to pursue in a career.
Yeah.
If not, save the money.
Yeah. I've seen people that go to college and, like you said, they don't really know what they want. So, like, I'll just get this degree in, criminal justice or, like, psychology. You know what I'm saying? But then they don't know what they want to do. And so as time goes on, they just rack up that debt. Then they're out doing something that has nothing to do with that. When if they probably had gotten some guidance, proper guidance earlier in the life, they may not have made that decision. But then there's also people that, I feel like when I was 18 years old going into college, I didn't really know I knew I wanted to go in the military, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I said, that degree looks pretty good, so I'll just go for that one. And then turns out, I don't like this degree or that work that comes with that degree, so I'm not going to do that. And I feel like some people may have, because you're young and you don't really have a very broad understanding of things, you may think, hey, this is a good career path to take. But as you start down that path, you're like, you know what, this isn't really me. I'm going to change here. So it may be beneficial for some people to get out in the workforce first, see what they want to do. And then if that's later on down the road, go try that out or something like that. I'm not bashing on college or anything. I think it's great, like you said. But I think, like you said, it needs to be targeted, that you have a goal, a mission. Hey, this is what I want to do. I know that 100%. I'm going to go get that, and move forward from there. But there is a lot to learn from the workforce or from the military if you go into that first, and then develop your skills and keep moving forward after that,
Yeah, I agree.
But you probably have a lot of, young folk that work for you, or, people that don't have a lot of life experience come work for you, and you have to mentor them with your leadership style, So let's say you got an employee or somebody that's coming to work for you and they need some mentorship with how to communicate, or building relationships or rapport with customers. How do you approach that person? Do you have like weekly training for your people, or like what should a good leader of a business or a good manager look to do to help develop their employees as time goes on,
So first of all, in any business, you need to identify what you need. We kind of call it sometimes in fishing, match the hatch.
Oh, yeah.
If the fish are feeding on this type of bait, you want to present that type of bait.
Yeah.
Well, in my business, I need very outgoing, very welcoming, very trustworthy people. Customers come in and, they think, hey, people in the car business have astigmatism, and we get it. We do.
Yeah.
So we have to become very welcoming. We have to make them feel very comfortable, which we do. And we don't ever push. We don't want to push. We want to present good information. A lot of times customers come in today and they're more educated about the product than our salesmen are. They really are, because they reviews online, or they get pre-approved at the credit union, or they go to a website and see what the trade-in value is. So basically our customers come in more educated, which is great for us. We like them educated.
Yeah.
But, I have to make sure that I have people that are very, very friendly and very good at customer service, where if another business owner might be selling appliances or computers, they better have a very techie person who's very good at product and very good at showing you why you need this, features and benefits. But my business is I don't want to put somebody out there in the public if they're very shy and they're not willing to get out of their shell. They're not willing to go out there and greet people and give them eye contact and communicate with them. They might be a better fit in my parts department, managing inventory, managing processes, or they might be better in my service department on hooking up a Tech 2 to the vehicle and diagnosing the problem with your vehicle, or troubleshooting the vehicle. Or maybe they work in my wholesale division, where we buy cars from one auction and put them on another auction to try to turn a profit. So I'm not saying that person doesn't have a fit in my business, but I definitely want to match the hatch. I definitely want to put the people in the right department. And I always tell my department heads to do a self-review or an employee review every quarter. That's just basically when you pull the employee in there and say, okay, doors closed, put it on the table. Nothing you can say is going to be repeated. What do you think of your job? Do you think you have a future in your job? Do you vision this as a career or just a temporary job for now? Do you have the tools to do your job to the best of your ability? Do you feel like your work is appreciated? And a lot of times when you ask employees that question, sure, every now and then you get the, well, I feel I'm underpaid, and, but for the most part, they appreciate that you're talking to them. They appreciate that you're hearing them out. And a lot of times they'll tell you some small things that really, really mean a lot. Like I had a technician the other day that was telling me that his computer was slow. He hadn't had an upgrade in 2 years. And where it would typically take him 5 minutes to do a download from GM, a software update, because a lot of these vehicles nowadays just require software updates, just like your phone, that it was costing him money because our technicians are paid by clock time. So we basically bought that technician a new computer. It was like $600. And his production has went up at least 30%. So that was just a small thing that made me remember my core on talk to your employees, listen to your employees, and always try to take that feedback and make yourself a better manager, because they appreciate people talking to them and talking with them. So I would say to any business owner that, hire slow. Sometimes people hire fast because they need a body, and you get just that. You get a body who may not be put in the best position to succeed for you or succeed for themselves.
Yeah.
And then it's a bad experience for the employee. It's a bad experience for the customer. And then, it's turnover is never good in a business. If you have different faces, it's never good. It's always good if you go to a restaurant or a retail place and you always see the same people. They know their product, they know their customers, but make sure that you set your employee up to succeed, which means you set your business up to succeed by making sure that you're matching the person with the right position. Because I feel like most people out there can do a job in any organization as long as they're put in the right spot and given the right tools.
Right. So a couple of questions based on what you just said. First of all, have you ever, like, let's say someone comes in, they say, I want to be a salesman. They come to you or they come to your hiring manager. I want to be a car salesman. It's like, okay, you're going to run them through. Let's say you go through the interview and hiring process. Let's say you hire them. And then you start running them through that process to make them a trained up, whatever you call it, qualified or certified car salesman. And let's say you get them to that point and you're starting to develop them. And then you realize, hey, this person, that you get to a point where you realize maybe they're an introvert. How much do you work to help that person overcome that and become an extrovert because they have the passion to be a salesman? Or do you have the conversation, hey, based on everything that's going on, you would probably be a better fit for this position or that? How do you kind of approach that? Does that ever happen,
Yeah, it does from time to time. And we try to do a good job. We try to do our due diligence on the interview process on, hey, let's not waste a lot of their time.
Yeah.
Let's not waste a lot of our time. And worst case scenario, let's not waste a customer's time if we don't feel like that person can be successful in sales.
Right.
But even with that being said, we know that a lot of times people interview right. They say all the right things, and then a month later you're like, where did that person go that I hired?
Yeah.
You were so outgoing. You said you were going to, could you come in early? Could you stay late? You're going to work every day just to try to sell as many cars. And then of course they change. I always tell my managers, if you got to make a decision with an employee, it should never be a shock to that employee. You should verbally counsel that employee. You should work with them. You should train them. And then at the end, if it's just not a good fit, you go to that employee and say, look, it's just not working out.
Right. Maybe
get with another department head and say, hey, I have a salesperson who's on time every day, has very good work ethic, really can be successful somewhere in the organization, but just sales and commission-based sales isn't their cup of tea.
Right.
And then we'll try to transfer them, because a lot of times if you can get somebody that's courteous and polite and shows up to work on time and they have good work ethic, that right there alone is worth something that a lot of businesses don't have. So instead of just telling them it's not working out, we always try to look into our other businesses, our other organizations, and our other departments and say, hey, can you use somebody who has very good work ethic, but don't put them in a sales position, because sometimes just the anxiety or the stress and pressure of having to rely on your next bill being paid by getting somebody to say yes or no to a car sale can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
And we even went as far as the last year or two at some of our locations, just doing a guaranteed pay plan for our sales staff. So it kind of takes the pressure off and to say, hey, at a minimum, you're going to make this.
Right.
And then once you hit these levels, you get the retro money.
Right.
But yeah, it happens from time to time. But for the most part, we can kind of figure out in the beginning, if we think they're going to be able to get to the step where we think they're going to be productive for themselves and productive for us. But and we've went as far as having 2 or 3 different managers interview them, where I would say, hey, Chad, I interviewed this person. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm kind of on the fence. Maybe do a second interview behind me and see what you think. Because sometimes if you're just busy and you need a body out there because you have a lot of customers, you kind of just give a half-hearted interview and think that's the right fit, and you throw them out there, where you might catch something and say, hey, Todd, I dug a little deeper and I found some things that I may or may not like. So I think if it's in question, and I think it's always good, depending on how big your business is, to have multiple interviews. Maybe if you got a sales manager and a general sales manager, or a sales manager and a finance manager, or an office manager, have people interview with you or a second interview, and employees don't have a problem with that. We told them, hey, just wanted to get another perspective from another department head. Would you mind coming back in? And they seem to be fine with it.
Yeah. That's a really good tip right there. Not many people probably think about that one. I've never thought about that myself either. Let's talk about the hiring process a little bit, because you said hire slow. And I've caught myself in a situation I need a body. You know what I'm saying? I hire somebody, they seem pretty good, I hire them, and then, a couple weeks later, turns out they're not good to go. So what can a business owner, a small business owner, or even someone at your level do to make that hiring process as good as possible for their specific industry or field?
Sure. So, the saying is, what a good employee can do for your business, but a bad employee can do 10 times worse to your business than what a good employee can do good. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when a customer's completely satisfied, they just tell you they're satisfied, and you don't realize how satisfied they are because you don't see all the business they're sending back to you.
Right.
But when you have a bad employee or a disgruntled employee, you realize real quick how much damage they do to your business, because we live in a world now with social media. We live in a world of online reviews, and we live in a world now where most people do a lot of their shopping for your services or your business online.
Yeah.
So if you have an employee who maybe they've fallen on hard times, maybe they're having some issues at home, maybe they just don't like where they're at, or maybe they didn't like that you disciplined them because they came in late again. Mm-hmm. You'd be surprised at how much damage they can really do. So, the old saying used to be hire slow, terminate fast. Mm-hmm. I don't like the word terminate because I feel like every employee can be just like you are with your animals. I feel like every employee can be rehabbed. They just need a different opportunity. But I will say that, that in today's business, you only get one chance with most customers. Customers are not patient today. They don't want to be, and they don't have to be, because there's so many options for them in any industry. There's so many options for customers, and they can do a lot of their shopping in any business online. Mm-hmm. So you have to maintain a good relationship with society and your community online. So, you definitely have to make sure that you interview them properly. And, there's things you can do. There's even online personality profile tests, and they're pretty to the T, because I did one myself the other day, and I was like, that sounds like me. But you can do it if you're on the fence and you're too busy. Yeah. Maybe you're a one person show. Mm-hmm. Maybe you have that person do a personality profile test and look at the results. Mm-hmm. And it may come back where you're thinking you have this when you really have this. So mm-hmm. there's sources out there to help you hire the people. Again, of course, I'm still a little bit old fashioned. I don't like a Zoom interview. Mm-hmm. I don't like an email interview. I like a face-to-face interview. Yeah. I'll typically look at the video camera in my office and see what time you showed up for the interview. Mm-hmm. My dad being 30 years Navy, that if your job interview's at 9, you need to be there at 8:45.
Oh, yeah.
And you let the receptionist know you're there at 8:45.
Yeah.
And, and it's just, I still think in my business is still face value. Yeah. And even though we have customers, with GM, they shop, click, and drive. They want the vehicle delivered to the house. We do touchless sales where we'll just deliver the vehicle to your house and you can get the contract sent to you. Yeah. My business is still mainly face-to-face. I mean, since COVID, our business was ruled essential, so we never closed one day. Yeah. People still had to get their cars fixed, to get to school, to get to work, to get to the hospital. So we never took a day off. We never closed a day. We were very thankful for that. Mm-hmm. And our customers still like interaction. And even though a lot of customers still shop price, and we have very fair price, we make sure we market-based price all of our products. Yeah. We still have a lot of customers that just like, because we're the hometown people. Oh, yeah. We've been here since 1978. We quite often get voted the most trusted dealership in Charleston, mm-hmm. and people still like that. A lot of my salespeople have been here 20 years, been here 30 years. There's a trust factor. There's a trust factor built in service, and I think that's one of our recipes for success.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you guys using in your hiring process? Are you using the personality test, or just if you need to? Or
we have from time to time. And the reason we're going to really use it is because salespeople, they got to be extroverts. Yeah. They got to be outgoing. Mm-hmm. They got to be thick-skinned, because you might get 10 or 12 no's. You might get 10 or 12 no's in a row before somebody says yes. You know. Yeah. You can't be like that guy at the prom when you ask the first girl to dance, she says no, and you never go to another prom. But so we'll test them if it comes to that. Definitely when you get in my parts department and we're trying to inventory several thousand parts. We got to inventory every nut, every bolt, every washer, every windshield wiper blade. Yeah. that person has to profile as very organized, very meticulous, because you got 4 or 5 people back there pulling parts. We're selling parts online. We're looking at 50 repair orders a day. 50 different cars a day come in from customer pay to warranty work, and every one of them needs parts. There's recalls we have to do. So that is something where we would definitely profile somebody to see their organization skills.
Right.
But again, I feel like I have enough staff, and I feel like I have a mature enough management staff that we can, for the most part, spot what we need. But we have done profile tests in the past, and we even profiled some of our higher end managers that have been here a long time and have had more seniority.
Yeah.
And almost every time it comes back and you're like, hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
It's a pretty good deal. And again, I think that's a great resource if you're trying to hire a good many of people. You've only got 1 or 2 people doing it, and they just get to the point where they're just filling positions because they need somebody there at that time, not realizing the damage you could do if you put the wrong person in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
I mean, it in my business, it goes a long way, because word of mouth is really the biggest thing for the car business.
Right.
It still is.
Yeah. Going back to talking about employee, I guess you would call it evaluations, where you said every quarter you make sure your managers sit down, talk to your people. I think typically in like a business or like in the military, that's every 6 months. You guys are doing that quarterly. When that's happening, closed door, the manager and the employee, hey, let me know how everything's going. Nothing's being reported. I just want an honest conversation. Don't be nervous about anything. Let's say someone comes up and says, hey, I'm not getting paid enough. You know what I'm saying? How's the manager handling that situation?
Sure.
Or a small business owner, they're running the show. They got an employee. Hey, I'm not getting paid enough. How do you handle it? Because a lot of people don't know, as a business owner, there's a lot of stuff going on. You got to pay for inventory. You got to pay taxes. You got to do all these different things, So how is that manager going to handle that situation with the employee? Typically, I know it's going to depend a little bit, but typically, how are they going to handle that?
So, and that comes up a lot, because one of the questions that I know, I do the yearly review where
Yourself?
the managers, with almost every employee, I'll random, like I might pull, if I have 20 salesmen, I might hit 8 salesmen. If I have 10 techs, I might hit 6 techs.
Okay.
I random at the end of the year.
Okay.
And I just kind of pull the name out of a hat. Now, the department heads do it every quarter. And one of the questions we ask is, do you feel like you're paid fair for the job you do? And I think that that's an automatic response to, I'd like to make more money, or I need to make more money. They're never going to tell you that they're overpaid.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So bottom line is, you're opening the door for those kind of comments, but basically that's when you define it. And in my business, most everything's commission. So your pay raise you give to yourself, and that's what I was telling you. One reason I gravitated towards the car business was because it didn't discriminate. Everybody had a great opportunity to make more money. And if you want to make more money, you sell more cars. You hustle in service department, you fix more cars. So a lot of that stuff gets figured out by, okay, if you want to make more money, you just have to sell more cars. Maybe work a half a day off instead of taking your full day off, or instead of, if you're off at 6 and the dealership's open till 9 o'clock, don't 6:01 it. Stay till 7 or 8 o'clock, or come in early and make 10 cold calls, or treat your customers better and ask for more referrals. There's always ways to make more money, but I always go over the employee when I start the review on, this is your job description, and have you done more than that? Have you, are you looking to get to the next level? And there's been some times where I've looked at an employee and like, wow, we haven't revisited your pay plan in 3 years, and it's time we do that, especially with your increased job description. And I feel like if you've got somebody that's been there and they're doing a good job and they've got some extra workload added to them and they're wearing more hats, they're very worthy of a pay raise. So you just got to kind of handle that on a case-by-case basis. But you also got to determine when somebody's just looking to get more money. A lot of times people, I ask them what their favorite day of the week is, and they'll say Friday because it's payday. And I laugh because, hey, that's a great day. Payday is a great day. Yeah. But, you need to be very descriptive in their job, very descriptive in their pay plan, and let them know that, hey, if the company makes more money, you, in fact, will make more money. And as a business owner, people think it's glorious. They think it's glamorous. But you are truly and I'm not going to tell you nothing you don't already know, you are truly the last one in line to get paid. They don't realize that. They think business owners are the first in line to get paid. You're the last in line because you've got to pay that business mortgage. You've got to pay your employees. You've got to pay your taxes or you're in trouble. You've got to pay for the product. You've got to pay for the insurance to be in business. You've got to pay for the business licenses. You got to pay for the surety bond. You got to pay for everything. And if at the end of the day, thankfully, if there's money left, then if you want to take a dividend or you want to take a check, you can. But everybody else has to get paid first because the owner can't say, look, I'm taking a check this week, but my employees who did the work can't take a check because we don't have enough money. So that's why you have to be, and pay plans can be runaway pay plans. Sometimes you can put someone on too aggressive of a pay plan and you got to revisit it and say, hey, I bit off more than I could chew and we need to be fair with one another and we got to look at this pay plan. And that's difficult, especially in commission based because, we've had some things go to our favor last year and, our sales got pretty good for a while until we ran out of product, and some of my pay plans were on a runaway train. But I didn't change them because I knew we were going to have some tough months coming up because I knew GM shut down for 90 days. Before COVID, GM was on a 60-day strike because of the unions. So we went 60 days with build no vehicles. And then COVID shut the plants down for 2 or 3 months. So I didn't cut my people's pay plan because I knew that we had – and I cautioned them. I said, look, when GM doesn't catch up and we go from a 90-day supply of trucks to a 10-day supply of trucks, you need to save some of that money. But when you're interviewing your employee, ask them what they do for you. You'll find out some things they're doing that you weren't paying them for. You'll find out some employees that you need to counsel and say, okay, if you want to make more money, you need to graduate this job and move to this department. Some of my best salesmen came straight up from my cleanup department. They started off detailing cars, washing cars. And I said, look, you can only pay so much to wash your car. Not saying your job's not important, but it can only pay so much because it's not really generating. It's not generating productivity. It's not generating sales. And then they worked their way into the sales department. And some of my managers started off as cleanup guys over 20 years ago. So that's another thing. You can use that moment when you're interviewing your employee, doing that review, to counsel them on how they can do better for their family and themselves, but also better for the company.
Do you also, I'm assuming you do this as well, but this is something that as a business owner, I think is very important, helping to train your staff, your employees on financial discipline, how to maybe give them some considerations to manage their personal finances, because as you know, you may have someone that comes up and asks you, hey, I'm not getting paid enough, I can't pay my bills. But then if you have a little bit of a conversation as kind of a mentor, their expenses are exceeding their income. You know what I'm saying? And you have to have that financial discipline discussion with them. Do you guys do that as part of your regimen, or you do that on a one-on-one basis? How do you kind of help your employees in that department?
It would definitely be one-on-one because, if you were to, like if we were at the conference table and you said something, it would definitely embarrass them. But,
right.
Sometimes, like you said, people overspend their money. And then they think that they should make more money because they're spending more money. And that's not always a good situation. And, employees that tend to need the money quick or tend to need the money sooner than other employees because they're living a little bit frivolously. Let's face it, we probably spend more time with our employees than we do our families. And our employees become our family members where we care for them and we want to see them do good. I love it when an employee goes out and buys a new house or new car because I'm like, hey, they're not going nowhere. They're vested. They're homeowners. They own boats. They own trucks. But at the end of the day, that I need them to be able to work with a customer clear conscience. They don't need bill collectors calling. They don't need a way to try to fast talk and sell more cars because they're spending too much money. So, sometimes in commission-based jobs, people feel like they're Superman, like they're 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And they're like, I'll just sell more cars. Well, the economy has cycles. It goes up, it goes down. Inflation goes up, it goes down. We see good times, we see bad times. And I don't care how good your sales, there'll eventually be a time that may be slower than others. And if you're already maxed out and accustomed to earning this much but spending this much, I think you need to try to step in when you can, and it needs to be one-on-one. And a lot of times they don't listen to you, but you still, as their boss and their friend, you need to try to help them because, just as a business owner, we can't overspend. If we overspend on
yeah.
advertising, we can't pay their payroll. If we overspend on their payroll, we can't invest in advertising or we can't invest in product. So, and you got to tell them too, say, hey, look, how am I going to promote you to run one of my departments if you can't even stay on top of your own bills? Because if you're running a department, you're accountable for 10, 12, 15 employees. You're accountable for your budget. You're accountable for your advertising budget, and you're paid on the net profits. You're not paid on what you make. You're paid on what you keep.
Yeah.
So, and if I had somebody that was spending way too much money and was very frivolous, it would be very hard for me to promote that person because I'm asking them to watch my money when they can't even watch theirs.
Right.
So it's important.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's tough in today's world too, because as we keep talking about, people are on their phones. I want that. They buy now. One click shopping and all that. And it's very very tempting, but financial discipline is super important. And I feel like a lot of small business owners, they start making some money and then they end up spending too much, and then their business goes away. Because most businesses, I think it's 90% of businesses are going to fail in the first 3 years, or it's a high percentage.
It's very, very high, and I think that it's almost like somebody gambling. You'll see people in Vegas and they'll lose a bunch of money the first night and they start betting even crazier because they go in desperation mode to get back to even. I feel like some business owners just throw money at advertising, and I'm like, look, if there's not buyers out there, if your product's not selling, maybe it's not the advertising, maybe it's your location, maybe it's your staff, maybe it's your business model. Maybe your business was never set up to succeed. I'd have to go back and look at your business prospectus and see what your plan of potential was.
Right.
But I feel like, and we did it back in the day when the car business was really lucrative and really good, and you didn't have the internet and people weren't shopping internet price. They just came in and just bought the cars. I felt like we just threw money at advertising. We never looked at ROIs, return on investments. We're just spending money to be crazy. Nowadays, we have to be very targeted. Our margins have decreased and our competitors have increased, and the digital online platform has really taken over the car business. We kind of call it a race to the bottom, kind of like the Amazon. Go on the website, find the best car, they'll deliver it to your house. You don't need a relationship. So in that productive environment, we've had to become very selective on where we spend our money and how we spend our money. So, business owners have to be very, very frugal and really weigh in where you're spending your dollars. Is it better to spend your dollars on advertising? Is it better to spend your dollars on better product or better services? Or is it better to train your people better? But you got to be tight with your money nowadays, because you just never know what's going to happen.
And you better account for taxes too.
Yes.
Because they're coming after you.
That's another one.
That's something that I think people underestimate, is how much are you going to pay in taxes as a business?
Remember I said you're the last person in line to get paid? Well, the IRS is the first.
That's right.
And you better pay them first. But, that's another thing too, is, a lot of people don't budget for that. And I'm like, and the problem is, I don't know if people file quarterly or they file yearly. If you're going to make profit, you're supposed to file quarterly. You're not supposed it's not supposed to be a surprise at the end of the year that you made money. The IRS wants you to pay quarterly if you're making money. And you should want to pay quarterly, because just like a person to save the whole year, sometimes it's hard for a business to save all year.
Oh, yeah.
You wrap up your quarter, you have a good quarter, reserve as you go. Don't even think of that money as a savings account. That's money that's set to the side for the IRS, and pay quarterly. Pay it ahead, overpay it if you got to. If you get a refund, that's a benefit. But of course, with us, it's all about paying quarterly, and we collect sales tax on every car, so that's a big bill every month. When we sell somebody a car for $10,000 in South Carolina, sales tax $500. We're not thinking we sold the car for $10,500, because $500 is not ours.
Right.
We sold the car for $10,000.
Right.
So if our cost was $9,500 and we collected $10,500, we only made $500 because the other $500 was reserved for sales tax, which of course the sales tax we pay monthly. And then any other taxes we pay quarterly. But again, if you're going to go into a business, and I love entrepreneurship, I love people that want the American dream, that want to go out there and make good for themselves, make good for their family, but they need to really, really focus on their business model and their goals. And they need to realize that Not many people can get it right the first time. Not many people open up a business the first time and get it right. You know, they might fail 1 or 2 times, or you might have to switch your business model. Maybe instead of doing this, you might have to get over here a little bit and do a little bit things, wear more hats than just one. But being your own business owner, like I said, is sometimes people think it's the best thing in the world, and it is if you have good employees and you have a good business and you have a good business model and you're profitable. But when it's not profitable, it's the worst job in the world because you can't sleep at night. You got to pay your people. I mean, you're paying people, you know, all the money, and you're not drawing any money for yourself, and you're not reinvesting it. It can be scary.
Yeah.
But if you do your right research, you do your right prep work, you can still open a business nowadays and do well.
Yeah.
And capital, you know, that's another thing I'll tell business owners. I don't think anybody understands how much capital you really need. It's almost like whatever number you think you need, double it or triple it, because that's what you really need.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, I talked to a lot of my friends. They're like, yeah, once I get to this number, I can buy this, I can buy this. And I'm like, well, what about this? What about the rent? What about the taxes? What about this? What about that? And they're like, well, I didn't think of that. I'm like, you're halfway there.
Yeah.
So, you know, depending on your business model, what you anticipate, it's like remodeling your house. It always costs double. You know, it always costs more than what you expect. There's always something unforeseen. And it's the same thing in business. We've had some businesses we've went into, and we did that old math where we think it's going to cost us, let's just automatically double it, and then it become even more than that. So the problem is when you're opening up in a business and you only got about 75% of the capital, they fail after the first month. So you can't go in there on a shoestring budget, and I think that prevents a lot of business owners from being able to open up. But I'd rather see you save for another year or two, or even bring in a silent partner if you have to, than to go into a business, get it started, see the demand there, and then you have to close or fail.
Yeah.
Not at no fault of the business,
Right.
but you just didn't have the capital to stick it out.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't think that through properly.
When someone's starting up a business in any industry, you know, what do you recommend that they obviously they got to know what they want, right? And they have to plan out how are they going to achieve and get their business to a certain level. What considerations should they take in addition to the capital that you've already talked about, you know, but like, you know, business licensing, you know, what do I have to do to get this business up and running, liability insurance, workers' compensation, you know, like all these different things. Do you have like some considerations that someone, hey, I want to start a painting business, or I want to start a whatever business, you know what I'm saying? What should they be looking at, thinking about for both the near term, but also long term? And how far out should they be looking planning wise? You know what I'm saying?
If it's a brick and mortar business, meaning a restaurant, a car dealership, something where you're going to focus on people coming to your business and buying your product or services, I think you need a year to 2 years earnings. So if you think your business is going to earn $100,000 a year gross sales, and you got to pay bills out of that, I think you need $200,000 in the bank account to start it.
Yeah.
If it's an online business, which basically you just need product, you know, once you build your website, you know, basically you have it built, I think you need 6 months earnings. So if you're in the clothing business, it's online, and you think you're going to sell $10,000 a month, you need $60,000. I think you can't jump into a business and think that it's going to start making money overnight. And then if you start to draw money at it, I think most owners need to go 6 months to a year before they draw the first paycheck, because the business needs to be reinvented. It needs to be reinvested. You know, you always need new product. You always need new services, because the Amazons of the world, and I'm not saying Amazon's a bad thing, but the Amazons of the world are doing it better and more efficiently than we are on a daily basis. So, you know, I know a lot of people that quit their jobs and they say they're going to work for themselves, and they got to be the first one on Friday to get paid. Where, like I said, you got to be the last one to get paid, and you only get paid after the company gets paid. Company needs to get paid first. So I think, you know, if you're going to go into work for yourself, you need to be able to go at least 6 months without getting a paycheck. If it's a brick and mortar type business where people are coming to you, I think you need 2 years of operating capital in the bank account. Because what happens is people try to, I'm the king of analogies. You know, you can't bunt your way to the World Series.
Yeah.
You got to be able to swing away. You can't save yourself into a profit. Now, you can overspend yourself into to bankruptcy, but you can't save yourself into a profit. If you're in a business, we'll just use a restaurant, and all of a sudden you think you can start cutting the quality of food or quality of service to make more money, you know how it is. We don't mind paying $40 for a great meal, but it better be a great meal and it better be good service. Mm-hmm. But if it's bad service and the food tastes bad, I don't care if it's $5. I'm going to complain about it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I worry about businesses, and I see that quite often is the old analogy, you're bunting your way to the World Series. You got to swing away. Mm-hmm. You got to offer the best food. You got to offer the best service. And if you get to the point where you have to start to cut quality, people are going to kill you on social media. Mm-hmm. They're going to kill you with the reviews, and they're going to tell you, and we see it all the time. When this place first opened up, they had one waitress or one waiter per 3 tables. Now it's one waiter for 6 tables or 10 tables. And it's not hard to tell when you go into a business. You can tell they're struggling. They haven't painted the place in years. They haven't redecorated. They haven't cleaned up the parking lot, re-asphalted it, repainted the stripes. You don't see anything changing in there. It's just, that's when you know something's struggling. A lot of times businesses just need a remodel. They just need a rebrand, a reimage, and that costs money to do that.
Yeah.
But, you definitely, I'd say you can't be undercapitalized. Yeah. And I know that keeps a lot of people from getting in business, but that also keep you from failing, going into debt, and filing bankruptcy. I've seen a lot of things. Remember we said bad things happen to good people, and it's not that they weren't good business people. It's not that they didn't have a great idea. A lot of people have a winner idea, and they just don't have the money to launch it the right way, and they end up failing. And it's bad because then you see somebody else that has enough capital do it, and then they do real well with it.
Yeah.
And the other person had the right idea, they just didn't launch it right.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And some people are nervous about raising that capital too. Because you could raise. Very few people are probably going to have the cash themselves to do it, so they're going to have to get an angel investor or go get a loan from the bank, and they're like, "This is a risk," But sometimes, especially as a business owner, you got to be comfortable taking risks. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are scared of taking risks and, going out there. But I think if you have a good plan, a good planning process, and you told me this last time I was over at the Phantom store with you, where you said, if you got a process, if you know how to work with people, and if you got a product, and you're ready to get after it, you're going to be on the road to success. You know what I'm saying? So, some people may not be willing to toe that line with risk for a little bit, and not have the confidence in their process and system to get it going. And then once you get it going, it's like, things start falling into place. You know what I'm saying? What do you have to say about people a little bit nervous about risk,
Well, again, I'm going to give you an analogy.
Yeah. No, I like it.
If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
Yeah.
Wise person said that. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
Yeah.
That being scared, that anxiety is sometimes good. It's just like if you played sports before you got on the ball field, you had those butterflies in your stomach, but you were amped up, you were ready to go. That's good. Mm-hmm. But even like the Phantom Shop, I started that as an online business only. I didn't even build a brick and mortar until after 3 years of being in business. I had to know that it was going to be able to pay for itself before I invested money in a facility. And I wanted to do it sooner, but I needed to practice what I preach and make it stand on its own. And it does. I don't supplement any. That first 2 years, I supplemented that business quarterly to keep it afloat. I haven't had to supplement it in over a year, and we're steadily growing and expanding. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to start off small. I wanted to start off big because I'm a big thinker. Big dreams scare you. But I knew I didn't need to stress myself out because I couldn't let that business affect this business.
Right.
That business needed to stand on its own. Mm-hmm. But, I think if you have a good business model, and then you need to network. In today's world, you need to network. Like, you and I, we discuss business. You discuss your business model with me. I discuss mine with you. And if somebody has a good idea, discuss with as many business owners as you know, whether you be friends with church or you're friends on social media with them or your kids go to school together. Just people love to talk about their business and their industry and say, hey, if you got 10 minutes, I'd love to buy you lunch one day and just go over some business ideas with you. And just be transparent with me. Be honest with me. Tell me what you think about it. And try to be around people that you think are good business people and try to emulate what they've done and run ideas by them. They always say that if you want to be a millionaire, hang around millionaires.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you want to be in trouble, hang around people that get in a lot of trouble. It tends to those sayings make sense.
Yeah.
But look at those people. A lot of times when you see people are successful, they're the first ones there, and then the last ones to leave. They're not successful by mistake. They're not successful by an accident. They're successful by design.
Yeah.
And they continue to be successful. And when you get to the top, don't act like you're at the top. Act like you're still at the bottom. Mm-hmm. Be willing to beat them there in the morning. Be willing to stay there later than them at night to show them. Now, enjoy your time.
Yeah.
Enjoy your family. Enjoy the success of your business, but also be willing to do what it takes.
Right.
At the end of the day, I'd say that I want everybody that works for me to want my job eventually. I want everybody that works for me to want to be bigger and better than I ever was. And I feel like if you surround yourself with as many people as you can like that, your business is always going to succeed.
Yeah.
Always.
It's hard to find that talent sometimes though, especially in today's age. A lot of people, unfortunately, they don't have the same, environment that they're raised in to develop that work ethic, because when I was 10 years old, 12 years old, I'm out walking the neighborhood with a push mower, seeing whose grass I can cut for $10, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But people aren't doing that these days, you know what I'm saying? And that raising is not happening the same way, which I think is a struggle. And that's why, sometimes you have employees and you're the mentor that's going to help them develop that type of work ethic, you know what I'm saying? Which is super. And that's why you say, I like how you said it, you don't like the word termination because you can work to help that person, coach them, develop them to the best of your ability. Sure. Sometimes it's not going to work out, obviously, but for the most part, with the proper guidance and coaching, they should be able to, reach higher levels of success. You know what I'm saying? That develops you as the mentor and coach yourself as well. You know what I'm saying? But what are some ways that you handle like stress, because we're talking about all this different stuff, showing up before you're being the example, balancing out your budget, balancing out your finances, helping out your employees, coach. That's a lot of stuff, you're going to get stressed out at times.
Sure.
How are you working through your stress levels to balance that out? Because if you're too stressed, you may act in a way that's not like you, not normal for you. Yeah. With your employees, with the customer. We don't want that. You know what I'm saying? You already know that because your managers know that. Everybody knows that, but sometimes you fall into that human emotion trap. But what are some of your practices to help manage your stress levels as you're going through this?
And in my industry, that is very important because when I was younger, I didn't do a good job handling stress. Mm-hmm. I neglected my family a lot. I didn't spend enough time with my kids and my wife like I used to. Mm-hmm. And it put me in a stressful situation because I would come home and I was just so frustrated that we didn't sell enough cars or we didn't generate enough profit. We didn't have enough transactions that I would go home and I wouldn't want to play with the kids. The kids want to jump on you. They want to play with you. When we get home, they think Disney World showed up. Mom's tired and we're kind of like, hey, look, I'm tired. Take the kids. And she's like, I've had them all day. Yeah. I had a problem with balancing that. And I had a problem with balancing that because I felt like I needed to be involved in every facet of the business. And I was. But I also didn't do a better job. I'm doing a better job now. I didn't do a good job back then of holding my managers accountable, giving them the ball to tell them to run it a little bit. And now that I've gotten older in my career, I now kind of very slow in hiring a department head. Most of my department heads have to work with us, cut their teeth, and then get promoted from within. Very rarely do I want to hire from the outside.
Right.
I want to promote from within. And then I hold them accountable. I said, look, I'm here for you. If you get in uncharted territories, you get in the deep end, I'm here to pull you back out, but I want you running the ball. I want you making the decisions. And for the most part, I've got your back. If I feel like you're getting out of line, I'll tell you, but I've had to do a much better job on holding them accountable where I never want to be the one that has to counsel your salesperson. The sales manager should do that. I shouldn't have to counsel a technician. The service manager should do that. Right. Same with parts, same with customer service, same with our BDC department. But I will guide the department head if they come to me for their advice. And I meet with them often. So when you get a department head or you get a manager of your business, of course, hold them accountable,
Right.
but also embrace them growing and running the ball some, because then that enables you to take time off for yourself to go fishing or hunting like I absolutely love to do,
Yeah.
or go watch my kids, whatever it may be. If my kids are playing sports or if they're doing activities, I want to be there. So, to handle stress, you got to know that you got the right people. So when you're not there, you know that your business isn't missing a step. And that's hard to get there.
Right.
It's hard to get there. But if you train them right and you recruit them right, your business can do well without you there all the time. If you have to be there all the time, either you've got the wrong people or you're not giving them the ability to do the business. And there's nothing more complimentary to an owner than to be able to take a week off and come back and be like, this thing didn't miss a beat.
Right.
There's no problems. They handled it. And that's what you should strive for as a business owner, to be able to say, hey, if something happens to me, this business is going to stay successful. The ethics that I installed in them, the business morale that I installed in them, they're carrying on the tradition.
Yeah.
So, again, build your team wisely, take care of them, pay them accordingly, but also, be quick to step in if you feel like they're getting in the weeds. But when I was young, I had to be involved in every decision in parts, every decision in service, every decision in sales. And by the time I got home, I didn't care what color the bathroom was going to be painted. Don't ask me. I didn't care what furniture we bought. And I just wasn't much of a family person back then, because I was too dedicated by the job. And it affected me. It affected my whole family life when I was younger, because I was too drawn to the business. And I've learned now that I can run multiple businesses. I can run multiple locations with the right department heads and hold them accountable. So you got to be able to live it when you're there, but you got to be able to leave it when you go home. When you go home, it needs to be all about the family. Family comes first. It needs to be all about them. You need to leave work at work, and they need to see your best. Just like your employees need to see your best at work, your family needs to see your best when you're at home, because it's very hard to be successful at work if you're not successful at home.
Absolutely. Going back a little bit, you talked about, the team is a family. Your employees are your family. Well, then sometimes you got to hold them accountable. You know what I'm saying? That can be challenging to a lot of people. They got this team, everybody's friends, and then all of a sudden someone needs to be held accountable. And you already kind of talked about, a process. You give them verbal counseling, written counseling, all that kind of stuff. But some people may struggle with that. So make sure that if you're in that position, that you have a clear distinction. You're holding people accountable, but at the same time you're friendly. You're not micromanaging them all the time, which I feel like is a very difficult thing for somebody that just started a business. Like when you just got into the car stuff, and also your Phantom business, your Phantom business, you were more matured in the business role by that point. But like you said, when you're starting out, you want to be involved in everything. So you're kind of micromanaging, and it's hard to let go of that as time goes on, but that's something that I think that business owners have to learn. You got to slowly, once you get your proper team set, slowly, detach and let your team run it, and you don't have to be involved in everything. But if you got to step in and hold them accountable or talk to them about something, you can easily do that. You know what I'm saying? Do you have any thoughts on that you want to share?
Yeah, I do, because I think a lot of people make mistakes on going to business with family members or going to business with friends. And unless you're very clear and transparent on the definition of your business partner or the definition of your friend, who may be a manager, may be an employee of your organization, if you can't separate, don't put yourself in that situation. So basically what I'm telling you is, if you're hiring one of your best friends, if mentally you can't accept the fact that you may have to fire that person if they do something wrong, don't even put yourself in that situation. So what you're capable of as a business owner. If you can hire or fire somebody, especially somebody you may be very, very close with. If you feel like you can't do it, don't even put yourself in a situation. I don't work with any family members. I don't think it's a good thing. I've got many of my family members. My older brother is in the car business. He's one of my competitors. But I wouldn't hire him. And I think back in the day, he probably wouldn't have hired me. I think we would have probably killed each other. But he has made his success on his own, and I've made my success on my own. But again, we're talking about hiring slow and being selective on your process and trying to promote people from within, you kind of get a good gauge of what people are capable of and what they're not capable of. And, I've seen people that are great salesmen but not good managers, and people that were great managers but not good salespeople.
Yeah.
So, matching the hatch, back to my saying, is what you got to do. But I can tell you this, I'm not going to say it can't be done, but it's very difficult working with family members and working with friends and being able to separate, hey, today we're fishing together, and then tomorrow you're getting on them for not doing something. Like, well, man, let's talk about that great date we had yesterday at the water. You're like, no, that day yesterday was our day. Yeah. Today is the business's day.
Yeah.
And they kind of look at you like, well, I don't want to talk about business right now. I want to talk about our fishing day, or I want to talk about our kid's birthday party this weekend. You're like, I can't get there right now because your department's not performing and everybody else's is. So be very careful if you're going to put yourself in that difficult situation, because when you tie up money, a lot of times it's your money, relationships get strained. And it's, I've told many of my friends, said, look, I would not hire you because I don't want to mess up the wonderful friendship that we have.
Right.
And if you do hire them, you just lay it out crystal clear that, hey, these are my expectations. I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. But if you think for one shadow of a second that you may not be able to do the job, don't take the job.
Yeah.
But be willing to step in. And not everybody can do that. But the problem is do you care about that friend enough that you're willing to lose your business because you're worried about them inviting you over for Christmas or inviting you to the birthday parties? It's a tough situation. My advice would be, don't put yourself in that situation if you don't have to.
Right. Absolutely. Well, for me, I've been very lucky and blessed personally because, Ben here's my brother, but haven't we had those conversations? One of my standards, like you already talked about, if I say he'd be here at 9:00, it means 8:45.
That's it.
I lay that expectation out. He knows that. When he first started, it wasn't always 8. It was like maybe 9:05. He learned that lesson really quick. We got to have that conversation. What I'm saying? But like you said, I think it's okay. Based on my experience, I laid out the expectation. This is what I expect. This is how we operate. And they know if that expectation is not met, we're going to have a conversation. But the next day when it's off day, we can have our fun time, our hangout time. And they know as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're going to have the ability to operate without me stepping in and making sure things are being done. But hey, if I notice that things aren't being done, I'm going to step in. And that's a very difficult position to be in, whenever I have to talk to people. It's not easy all the time, but as a business owner, you got to do that. But I don't think, like you said, for the most part, it's not going to be like what we have over at our place. I'm saying? It's going to be very, very challenging for most people to operate like that. I'm saying? So what do you think about partnerships as far as like going into, hey, let's start this business together. You get 50%, I get 50%. Of the business, what do you think about that?
That's difficult too.
Yeah.
I've seen some partnerships be very successful.
Yeah.
I've seen some partnerships not be successful at all that way. Problem is when you have two equal partners, there's always one or maybe two that feel like they do more work than the other. That always happens. That's the thing that's a common denominator for me, is like, it was my idea. I'm the one that knows how to do all the work. This person just put a little bit of money in, and they're getting paid and doing nothing. I'm doing all the work. Or that person put the money in and says, hey, I'm the only one that put money in, and you're not running it that well, and I want some of my money back. So that is very, very difficult. Not impossible, but again, clear expectations of what each other's job description is going to be. This is what you're bringing to the partnership. This is why you're 50% owner. And this is what you're going to be responsible for. This is what I'm going to be responsible for. This is what I'm bringing to the table, and kind of in a way hold each other accountable. Y'all might need to have daily, weekly meetings saying, hey, you said you were going to bring the money to the table. I've been asking for an advertising budget, and you're not putting the money in there. Or I asked for the AC to get fixed because nobody wants to sit in our restaurant because it's too hot, and you're not pulling the money. My food's still good. My waiters and staff's still good. So that's a difficult situation. Again, that's something that I really don't like to have to do. I like to be, if I'm going to put my money in the business, I want to control the business because I'm either going to succeed or I'm going to fail on my actions. I don't like depending on other people. I don't like my future having to depend on somebody else, I like maybe we start off at, 70-30, and then I let you buy another 10% at the end of the year once we hit this number. Or I'll let you do this.
Yeah.
Starting off 50-50, unless that person, can really – both people have to really bring it to the table. Mm-hmm. They really, really do. Most of the business that I've seen 50-50 always end up with one partner buying the other partner out, and then it becoming a strained situation. So I'm not really a big advocate of that. Mm-hmm. But I'm just based on what I've seen. I've not seen 50-50 partnership, and I've seen 80-20 partnerships work where, the guy who owns the business, runs the business, is there every day, is getting 80%, and the other girl or guy getting the 20% was just an investor, and they're getting a nice return on their money versus just throwing it in the stock market or throwing it in crypto cash, Bitcoin or something, or Robinhood and not making it. They're getting a guaranteed return. Yeah. With the understanding that after maybe 5 years they get bought out. So this business owner got to go from 80% owner to 100% owner. This person got a nice return for the time they were invested in it. I think those work quite nicely. Mm-hmm. But again, 50-50 is just really, really tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a lot of partnerships that fall apart because they get the button heads, and like you already talked about, I do this, I do that.
Yeah.
Don't rush into a business where you have to have a partner because of their money or something like that. Take your time, raise the capital, hire slow, good to go. Go from there.
Yep.
What do you think about someone that's just, let's say it's a single person operation, maybe it's an LLC, they start it up, whatever the business is, let's say it's like some type of service like a handyman or something like that, and now they're ready to expand, What should they be doing when they first expand? Hiring someone that has the same skill set as them so they can get twice as much work done, or someone that's maybe an opposite skill set, like maybe someone that can operate the social medias or the info request or whatever you call it. You know what I'm saying? How should someone that's looking to expand from a single person operation into growing a team, what's your recommendations and considerations on growing that team?
Well, first you would need to identify what your business needs or what your business is lacking. Like, say if you're a handyman service and you just couldn't get all the jobs completed, you obviously need somebody else that does what you do.
Yeah.
If you're a handyman service and you need more business because, you're working 3 days a week and you're willing to work 5 or 6, then you need somebody that knows how to do marketing or advertising. So I would say identify what your business is lacking or identify what your business needs. And that's who you go look for. If you need somebody who, let's face it, a lot of companies are very successful with marketing online, with marketing through social media, whether it be boosted ads or targeted ads or SEO or organic search. If you're good at fixing the houses and good at fixing cars, but you're not good at getting people to call you through that social media platform, I would definitely look for somebody that was good. And the thing nowadays is, there's companies. That's why you don't need partners. There's companies that do that for you. For little or nothing, there are companies that might manage 1,000 different businesses through Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or social media. Maybe instead of hiring a full-time employee, which is full-time payroll, full-time taxes, full-time workman's comp, maybe you sub that part of the business out and it be a web provider, a web platform, a social media business booster, or a campaign person, not maybe a full-time employee. I will say, whenever you can save money in a business, save money. Save that money. If you have a very successful handyman service working out of your truck, stay that way as long as you can. Maybe put 3 more trucks on the road versus a warehouse versus a showroom, because nowadays – your showroom can be virtual. Yeah. Take pictures of the job you just completed. That's your showroom. Take a picture of your nice new truck with your general contract license number on the side, your insurance and bonded up to $1 million. Talk about that kind of stuff, but keep it simple. Don't overbuild. And again, we're seeing it right now. I've talked to several banks that are thinking about just going online only. Not having all these banks that are brick and mortar. Who wants to fight on a Friday to cash your payroll check when you can take a picture of it with your iPhone and it'd be deposited? Or most businesses now do direct deposit. Yeah. So, it's just, if you can save money in your business, save it where you can. Like for us, our most valuable asset is always our people. I would cut back advertising. I would cut back inventory levels before I would cut people, because that's my best asset is my people.
Right.
Because, most of my customers that come in to see my salesman, they're in their network of life. They're either friends with them on social media, or they go to church with them, or their kids play sports together, or they know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. So that's why that's my most important resource. But I would definitely tell somebody, if you have a deficit in your business, don't hire somebody that does exactly what you do, because then you've just double complicated it. If you hire two handymen that are very good at fixing things but not good at marketing, and you don't even have enough for yourself, what good is that person going to bring to the table?
Right.
So get what you're not good at. If that's accounting, if that's paying your taxes, if that's marketing, get that, or vice versa. Very rarely are you going to get, if you're good at a little bit of everything, you're good at marketing, you're good at repairing, you're hybrid.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get somebody else that's a hybrid.
Right. Right.
Get a specialist.
Yeah.
Just like we talked about with college education. If you're going to get a degree, get a specialty degree that is so targeted that people are chasing you to give you a job, not you chasing them.
Right.
Make it so targeted that it's easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that I was told whenever I started business or getting into business was you need to have a bail team. I don't know if you've ever heard that term, but it was basically, when you're starting a business, you need 4 people to help you get things going. One was a banker, one was a accountant, one was insurance, so like an insurance agent, something like that. One was a lawyer, small business lawyer, whatever, to help you get things moving, get things going. Because I know whenever I started, I was like, I'm not hiring an accountant. I can do that myself. And then I jacked up my books. I'm sure you learned that lesson probably one time, but I
did.
So what do you recommend that a business owner just getting out there has on their team? And it, like you just said, doesn't have to be your employee. Could be an outside agency, or could be another business that you're working with. What do you need to get on the path to success?
In my opinion, it needs to be outside people that have a proven track record. Like we use Dixon Hughes for our accountants. Dixon Hughes is probably the biggest accounting firm for all the car dealerships in the country. And the thing I like about that is, so they know that the biggest Toyota store in the world gets this tax write-off, the biggest Ford store, the biggest GM store. So I wanted them because I was pretty sure that if they ever came across an accounting situation with us, that they've seen it or handled it, or they could call another firm in Kansas City, or a firm in Atlanta, or a firm in Los Angeles, and say, hey, we've got a car dealership in Charleston and they've come across this. They would have the answer. So I wanted a specialist. There's certain things you can skimp on, but a good accountant or a good attorney is something you cannot.
No.
And again, taxes, like, you said, if there's a thing where you can invest in your business, maybe you can improve the facility for the animals at your place, or give the government more tax money. What would you rather do? You'd rather improve it for the animals, improve it for your customers, but yet the accountants, like you to reinvest. The IRS likes you to reinvest, but it's either you reinvest in your business or you pay taxes on it. You wouldn't know that if you didn't have a good accountant. So I think when you have the right accountants and you meet with them quarterly, or you meet with them annually saying, hey, this is what we're doing this year. This is where we've grown our business. Here's some of our needs for capital. Is this tax deductible?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about taxes. I don't want to know about taxes.
Yeah.
That's not what I ever aspired to be. But I want to make the most money and I want to pay the least taxes. And I tell my CPAs that that's my goal.
Yeah.
And then they tell me how to do it. And, they've told us that, hey, buy this big, nice conference room table, put more money into training for your staff, because that'll make them better employees, and that's a business expense. So, just like you with your logo church, that's now a business expense. And when you guys come in, you look professional versus you wearing a Gap T-shirt or, something from Hollister. You're representing your business, and I automatically see that as, hey, if he's willing to wear his own clothes, wear his own shirt, he's a business person. So definitely seek, it's good to get advice from friends, and it's good to get advice from other business owners, but get an outside service to help you with that. And make sure you research them. Make sure you're dealing with somebody that's credited, and they're good at what they do. Ask for references. You ask for references when you're giving somebody a job interview. When you're hiring an attorney, you're hiring an accountant, that's a job interview.
Yep.
If you want to hire them.
Oh, yeah.
And check the references.
Yeah. absolutely. One thing on your little topic you brought up about, hey, you're wearing your own uniform. You know what I'm saying? That's something that back whenever I was starting up, someone told me, like, hey, people wear Nike or they wear, Under Armour or whatever. But if you're a business and you're wearing, your own product, you know what I'm saying? You're proud, you're out there. Why would you wear someone else's logo when you can represent yourself?
Yeah.
And I get on these guys all the time. I'm like, hey, it's off day. Where's your uniform?
Yeah. Nike, I promise you.
You're always wearing your uniform.
Nike doesn't need any more business.
Yep.
Under Armour doesn't need any more business.
Yep.
K9 Revolution, McElveen, Phantom, we need more business. We want more business.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
So get out there. That's what I tell these guys. On your off day, where's your uniform at?
That's right. That's right.
I'm cool. They can wear Star Wars one day or whatever, but hey, get that Revolution logo out there.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, good stuff. So kind of to wrap it all up, Todd, first of all, we really appreciate your time today. We know you're super busy and, you got a lot of stuff going on. Any closing thoughts for, business owners, leaders, leading, maybe they're a manager. Maybe it's someone in high school. They don't know what they want to do. Maybe it's someone in college. They're trying to figure out what to do. Any closing thoughts or closing comments for those these types of individuals?
For the young folks, and this is a tough time right now. I know that there's a lot of people that are either getting out of high school early because they're doing online classes, or maybe they're a little lost in college. I know that I couldn't focus in school, but if you give me a chance to do online school, I'm really going to mess up. Mm-hmm. So I know there's a lot of young people not sure what they want, if they want to go to college, not sure if they even want to finish high school because of the online thing. I know I used to go to high school because it was a social event.
Yeah.
But if you'd have gave me the choice to go to online school, I never would have did it.
Yeah.
I wasn't disciplined enough at that. Get out there. There's still business owners like me, like Chad, that really still want to just work with good people, want to still work with people that have drive. And I think, like I said, I'm not talking bad about an education, but I think if you've got drive, I can work with that. And I can find a way to put your drive in the right department and getting in the right direction. So, maybe it's not school is your best thing, or maybe you're doing a job right now because you think that's all you're capable of. I think you ought to get out of your shell a little bit, set your goals pretty high, and get after it. And it's like we said, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. And maybe that may not be being your own business owner, but maybe it's trying something different, changing your lifestyle, trying to be healthy, trying to be, maybe the only person at work. Maybe you're working around a bunch of negative people. Maybe you need to be the person that becomes positive. Maybe you need to be the person that lifts up the other coworkers instead of drowning out with the water cooler negativity talk, pumping it up. Then all of a sudden, an owner or a manager recognizes you, and then you get promoted.
Yeah.
So, step out of your comfort zone. Don't do the norm because it's cool. Don't do average because you just feel like that's it. Try to ask more of yourself. Try to step above, and that's how you become a manager, a supervisor, a leader, a mentor, an owner, by doing more than what's expected of you. And I always tell my kids, and I tell people around here, hey, if your job description is this, do all that better than anybody else, and then do something extra to tell people, hey, I want to be seen as extra. And if you're seen as extra, you get promoted.
Yeah.
And same as a business owner. Just because you're a business owner, that don't mean you come in at 9 and leave at 3 o'clock. Come in there early and learn about the technician's job, learn about the salesman's job, learn about the parts job, learn about the dog handler's job, the person that do it all, A to Z, and see where that puts you with your employees. Because, when you're an owner or a manager, you have a bullseye on your back, and they're quick to critique. Well, if he can do that, I can do that. Or if she can do that, I can do that. So you always remember how you started, be humble, and again, get involved with your people. Yeah. I talk to my employees every day, as many of them as I can. Sometimes I get good stuff, sometimes I get bad stuff, but I always listen to them. And they always thank me. They always say, hey, boss, I know you're really busy. Thank you for talking to me. When I was walking in here this morning, that was one of my sales people, and he had just came back to work from COVID. He's 70 years old. He's one of my most successful sales people.
Yeah.
And he was having a hard time getting it going again. He says, man, I got like the COVID fog mind, and I'm just distracted. And I just gave him a nice pep talk, and he goes, look, man, I know these guys are waiting on you to do this podcast. He goes, thanks for giving me 10 minutes of your time. So that means something to him.
Yeah.
But always push.
Yeah.
Just always do more than what's expected of you, and always doing the right thing. It always pay off. You may think other people aren't seeing it, but they really are.
Right. and every day is not going to be easy.
No, sir.
There's some days where you wake up, I know some days you're waking up, you're tired.
Yes, sir.
But you roll into work and you get into that mindset, you know what I'm saying, where I got to go through the repetitions today. I got to get up and get after it. I got no choice, you know, because everybody else is looking to you. Versus if you were to come in and say, you know what, I'm tired. You know, I only got 2 hours of sleep last night, or I only got this or that, or this is stressing me out. Now, guess what? The whole team that's looking at you is coming down, you know, versus even if you had that bad night, that bad day, you come in, you bring in that attitude up. You know what I'm saying? It's up here. A lot of people miss that. You know?
If you give up, they'll give up quicker.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
They see you starting to fade, they'll fade quicker. Your business is your baby, even if you're just a manager.
Mm-hmm.
Act as if you own it. Act as if you care about it, as if it's your baby. If you take care of your career, if you take care of your business, it will take care of you. But again, you know, if you're fading, they're going to fade.
Yeah.
I mean, they will follow the lead of the general.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to follow your lead every day.
Yeah. Good to go. Well, last couple of questions for you, Todd. I don't know what you're allowed to share, but do you have any favorite fishing spots that I know you got some secret ones. Don't give away the secrets, but some of your favorite ones up at the lake, or I don't know if you do a lot of offshore stuff, but what do you got?
No, it's freshwater.
Okay.
With the water warming up, the days getting nicer and the days getting longer, definitely the fish hatchery at Lake Moultrie, fishing the stump field at Lake Moultrie, throwing soft plastics around the stumps. That's what I like to do.
That's the go-to.
That's the go-to.
At least that people are allowed to know about. You got some other places.
That's a community hole everybody fishes, but it's definitely my favorite. But of course, living here in Charleston, and we're very fortunate. We have some of the longest, hunting seasons around.
Mm-hmm.
The weather is pretty much manageable all year long. I got a lot of my friends up north that they're waiting for the ice to melt so they can start fishing. We can fish here year round. It may not always be good, but we can wet a line year round. So we're thankful for that. But that is my stress relief is the fishing.
Good to go, man. Good to go. And you already got your first tan on the season too, so getting there.
I got something. I don't know if it's tan, but it's definitely red and itchy.
Little burn action going on. And here comes one of your guys right here, old Tommy.
Yeah.
But so last question for you. Where can people find you? Where can they come to work with your team?
Sure.
The Phantom team, the McElveen team, the True Auto team.
Sure.
Where can they come to use your services or work with you guys?
Sure. Any of the True Auto locations, we have our own website, trueautoonline.com. We have McElveen.com. You can apply for a job online, or you can come to the actual store, which we prefer. Meet with us, get an application from the receptionist. Phantom Outdoors is located at 2673 South Live Oak Drive, Monk's Corner. We also have phantomoutdoors.com where you can look at our apparel. If you go to the shop, we've got fishing tackle, we've got hunting tackle, apparel. Remember, we dedicate a portion of everything we sell back to the military, law enforcement, and youth fishing. Or if you just want to come look at a car, truck, golf cart, boat, you need financing, you need help with your credit, reach out to us through McElveen.com or come inside the store. I'm pretty much at this store almost every day. You can see me, talk to me, ask for me, and we're here to help you in any way we can.
Good to go. What are your plans for Phantom Outdoors? Are you growing that a little bit, slowly but surely you're expanding?
Yeah, we're going to grow that segment. We're online. I wouldn't say we're a national brand yet. You might see a few hats in other states. We have some pro staffers. We have some youth that fish for the Phantom fishing team, and they're in other states, but definitely continue to grow that brand on a national level. Locally, we want to be involved with more things we can do here to get our product in front of people. I love that we're having a brick and mortar now here in Monk's Corner. We're actually having our first high school bass class on March 20th.
Okay.
Where the high school kids come in and, we teach them how to fish care for the fish because, bass fishing tournaments are all catch and release. And if the fish die, you lose points, you lose penalties. So we're going to teach them about proper fish care, the importance of catch and release. We're going to teach them techniques on why you fish this lure on this day, or why you tie this knot on this bait, or why you want this length rod for this application, and just educate the kids and get a lot of the local pros involved with them, and get the kids out of the house doing more things. So that's our goal here, is to get more local recognition, but with our online business, get more national brand recognition.
And if people are purchasing the Phantom apparel, that helps achieve that goal, you know, because a lot of those funds are going to help the kids, you know what I'm saying? So big deal there. And y'all's online store is awesome. You guys can log on to their online store, purchase right there. They'll ship it to you, you know, real quick. Or you can stop by the shop. Really nice shop too, you know. So, but good to go, Todd. We really appreciate your time. Thank you again. And maybe we'll do this again sometime. Maybe we'll get some feedback.
Sure.
Maybe some more questions or something we can ask you. But again, thanks for your time. And you guys come see Todd at McElveen, Phantom Outdoors, and everything else he's doing. He's a very busy guy, so we're very blessed to have you for a little bit today. So
we appreciate what you do.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. We all have a good one. Thank you to the listener, and thank you, Todd.
All right.
Good to go.